This is Eve, and she's one of the Sims that I made for my own save file. I might change her up a bit, like the way that she looks. Maybe I'll pick a different name for her, but either way, I've decided she needs a house, and we're gonna be building that here on the Crick Cabana lot in Willow Creek. And since I want to make my file accessible for everybody, we're only gonna use the base game. Well, for now that is. You're gonna see in a sec. And actually, I lied. We're not gonna build her a house because I've decided to build her like a Fortune Teller Wagon. And I wasn't so sure if this would even be possible, but it worked quite well. So the way that I did this is I grabbed this item on the bottom using cheats from debug. And then I just put a room on top. And that's gonna be the wagon. Figuring out the floor plan in here was a bit awkward because I put the door on one end. I've built a trailer before where the door was in the middle and that made it a lot easier, but this also worked. For the color scheme of this build, I tried to just use the same colors that Eve's outfit has as well, which is black, purple, and a bit of yellow. Although there really isn't gonna be that much yellow in the end. The reason being that I want to make it crystal clear that this is in fact Eve's place. So let me actually tell you a bit more about who she is, the lore here that I'm planning to have in the file. I haven't come up with that much yet, but as you can probably guess, I kind of want her to be like a mysterious character that everybody in town talks about. Maybe there are a bunch of rumors surrounding her, and some people hate her and others think she's super cool. I did also make her into a spellcaster in case you have that pack. And you might be wondering how that works out, right? I've mentioned it before on here how I want to use a bunch of packs that I do own for my save file, but I always want to make sure that in case you don't have the pack, it works for you as well. Right, and so as it turns out, you can actually super easily include occult sims and they just turn into normal sims no problem for people who don't have that pack. So once I finish this, well, if I finish this, if you have Realm of Magic, Eve is gonna show up as a spellcaster for you. Meanwhile, if you don't have it, she's just gonna be a normal sim. Like, it works really well, to my own surprise. That does, however, leave us with the problem. How do we get the point across that Eve, or whatever her final name is going to be, is mystical and magical and stuff if you don't have the pack for it? Well, I was thinking there are voodoo dolls in the base game, right? What if we put a bunch of those connected to various sims in the town in her inventory? And also, I picked this lot because it's super close to that tree thing that is near here. You know, that item that they placed here that you can use to get to that secret place. What was it called? The Silver Glade or something? If this is your first time hearing about this, surprise, but I was thinking that what if Eve is kind of like a guardian for that tree thing, and she makes sure that the tree, first of all, survives. Second of all, that no weird people get to go to that secret place. I think that's a super cute idea. Anyway, focusing back on the build, I managed to cramp one bedroom, one bathroom, quote unquote, if you can even call it that. With no sink, I had to place that on the outside, but luckily it's super close. And then just like a general kitchen and I guess living room together, if you can call it that. Really not a lot of space that I gave myself here, but it worked out quite well, I think. And the inside is actually pretty much done now. So I moved on to the outside, although I did come back one more time because I remembered that colored lights exist. I always forget about these. I mean, not for every lot, but for a couple special ones. Using colored lights can really give it a different vibe. In order to get this right, or how I wanted it to look, I just googled Fortune Teller Cart and Fortune Teller Wagon and just kind of had a look at the pictures that came up, and I noticed that a lot of them sort of had one color on the bottom and a different color at the top on the wall, right? And at first I thought that we wouldn't be able to get this in The Sims, but then I had the idea to use blinds. And I am so glad that I thought of this because, I mean, look at it. I feel like this makes it instantly more recognizable as what we are trying to make here. And it just also looks really cool. I mean, just don't look all too close because then you're gonna see that it's just a bunch of blinds together. I also gave her a fake car so that we can pretend that this is what she uses to pull the wagon. Although, realistically looking at the size of that car and the size of the wagon, I don't think that will work out, but we can pretend, right? And I also found this cool fence in debug as well. It's kind of like broken down and everything. I'm not sure if Eve built this herself. I like to think that this fence was just kind of here before and she just parked her cart here. Maybe the reason why it's broken is because she just drove into it as well. I also found a super similar truck to the one that we have right now in debug, but in black. And I thought that this just fit the place a lot better. And then I also discovered that we once again have the debug problem where the fence looks cool but is not solid, so your Sims can just walk right through. This time around, my way of fixing this was by just adding a bunch of other things that are solid. In this case, a bunch of plants, so this actually ended up being a lot more overgrown than I wanted it originally, but I like a lot how it turned out. And on the fence next to the stairs, I also decided to put like a bunch of flowers. Turned out super cute as well. And then I replaced the fridge in here with one that fits our theme better. I don't know if you noticed, but originally I started out wanting to build this as, I think, a starter. I'm not sure anymore, but I definitely had a budget. But then somewhere along the way, I just went, screw it, whatever. Yeah, I honestly think it's better to focus on like getting the personality of the sim across rather than caring about that it's realistic budget-wise. Yeah, so right now I'm just taking care of the finishing touches. First of all, I put down so much terrain paint. There ended up being so much dirt in this place, but I like it a lot. I also planted a garden for her. I figured if she's a witch or like a spellcaster, whatever you want to call it, she's gotta have one of those as well. I think there are also like grown plants in debug, but I can never find those, so I just cheated the items and then let my sim plant them. Speaking of debug, I also grabbed a bunch of other stuff from there, and I used it to make this shelf in her bedroom a lot cooler, giving her like crystals and a My Sims figurine and stuff like that. And I also found a comet, I think is what that thingy all the way to the left is, and there are bigger versions of this, right? And I was thinking, how cool would it be to place these all around the lot? Your Sims can pick them up, but I think it's fine, probably. I'm hoping they're not gonna pick them up like crazy, but typically they don't, right? I also found this cool chest that I put in the back of her car, and you can actually put things in there, so you know, we can put some mysterious items that belong to her in there. Not sure what that's gonna be yet, but it's gonna be cool. And I should have thought of this way earlier, honestly, but I thought since this is like a wagon, it's probably off the grid, right? So I quickly made this thing so that it does function off the grid as well, which luckily wasn't too hard. And with that, we were done. But remember when earlier I said that we were going to build this with just the base game for now? Well, guess what? It's autumn now. Let me explain. I actually don't want it to be autumn though, so let me quickly do this. And I've actually talked about this before. This is also because I want to use all of my packs, but make it so that if you don't have them all, it doesn't really matter. So what I did here is I placed a bunch of items that I thought would go super well with this lot, like a cauldron from Realm of Magic and the weird scarecrow from Seasons, as well as a seance table and some eco lifestyle stuff, because we did just make this off the grid just then. And then I closed the game, deactivated all of my packs to where only the base game was still activated, and I came back and had a look at what the game does with this. Because a lot of items from packs just disappear when you do this, but some of them also get replaced. And we want to make sure that no items get replaced with like ugly alternatives or anything like that. And when I came back, it did tell me that 4 items were replaced, But when I had to look around, I couldn't find anything. I don't know, sometimes it's really weird. So that means if you do have some of the packs that I used here, you're gonna get some bonus items, or maybe just one bonus item. But also, because we built this using just the base game first, if you have no packs, it's still gonna feel like a complete lot. I hope that explanation was understandable. I don't know, I feel like I always do a bad job at explaining the stuff. But so anyway, with that, the lot is done actually, and here are some shots from, I still don't know what to call this, the final tour, I guess, the final look maybe, ooh. So with that, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you're going to be back next week, because then we are going to be building using only the base game and island living, and once again we're gonna be making a place for Sims that I already made. And they're pretty cool as well, you're gonna see. Okay, bye!